So you heard it's a working day, and it might even hint at some of the strategies that you need in order to incorporate participation into our regular democratic procedures when you are asked to, well, use informal communications that you should do, and not just do it because you want to, but you should do it. I mean, this slight hint of Mr. Lures might be also a hint as to what we face and challenge if we are talking about participation and making it possible in a democratic process. But first of all, ladies and gentlemen, I'm glad to welcome you here in Hamburg. As you know, Hamburg is one of the great media cities in Europe, home not only to big publishing companies, print media and cutting-edge ad agencies, but also the German headquarters of new media greats like Google, Facebook or Zing. And even if Berlin is receiving more public attention at the moment, Hamburg is still strong in the digital media and definitely lives up to its legacy. In 2011, the new first mayor of Hamburg, Olaf Scholz, decided to establish a new department for media policies directly in the Senate Chancellery. I'm elaborating this so that you know that I'm not the press spokesperson of the Senate, that is somebody else. We have something else to do. And it is my pleasure since this time to head this new department and to work towards an increased strength of the media and the digital business and as a regulatory issue here in Hamburg. Certainly, you all know better than me that you cannot just proclaim to be a digital city, but that you have to live it. You have to let the ideas of online communication, of transparency and participation become part of your public DNA. If you want to foster the new business models of social media, cross-media, or even new storytelling, you have to incorporate their cultural specifics into your own strategies. And we are trying to do exactly that. I'd like to tell you a little bit about what that means for the media business and for the city's diverse communication. But of course, using social media and e-participation is not just business tactics. For us, it is also a matter of principle. We believe that open government is better and smarter. Thus, I also want to share with you some more principled thoughts about the relationship of transparency, participation, and trust in the political process. Hopefully, they will pave the way into the keynote Professor Patricia Nanz is delivering afterwards. So, what is Hamburg doing in order to establish herself as a digital city? Quite a lot, actually. 15 years ago, Hamburg founded a new network to help young new media companies getting started and established media greats transforming and expanding their business models. Today, the initiative is called Hamburg at Work, has about 650 companies as members, and is still going strong. The latest developments were initiatives for online browser games and e-commerce, which pushed Hamburg to the top in both fields of e-business. Currently, we are working on a program called Next Media, which shall not only analyze the process of media convergence, but also give some hints as to where the path is leading. Since the territory ahead is uncharted, we work together with Hamburg's small but extinguished community of trend scouts and analyzers. They wrote a trend survey in which they distill 3 great trends in media development over the course of the next 10 years. Social media and its focus on users, cross-media and its focus on media technology, and new storytelling and its focus on content presentation. All 3 are present already, but they will continue to change rapidly and will change the way we see and use media communication in the future. The discussion about these trends and their political, social, and economic implications are part of everyday life in Hamburg. We will try to make these discussions more visible and perhaps a little bit more strategic. If you talk about these trends with businesses in your city, you are certainly confronted with the question how you use these tools and mechanisms yourself. The question is legitimate since we do not want debate over theoretical implications, but practical options. And Hamburg has done a lot in this field as well. In recent years, Hamburg has gathered several good experiences with processes of e-participation. Organizing platforms of discussion among our citizens has proven a feasible way to prepare important decisions, especially when it comes to urban planning. Thus, the 2 most prominent examples were the discussion about the landscaping of a historic square, the Domplatz, in 2007, and about the plans for a living bridge across the River Elbe. Both very heated topics in the beginning came to very realistic and consensual solutions in the end. Hence, it is no wonder that we are still supporting the PEP network as well. We learned our fair share about the necessity and the strength of online participation. In 2011, we presented a guidebook for the use of social media in public administration. You will hear something about this in the afternoon. And a little more than a week ago, we launched a project called Stadtwerkstatt, which is designed to organize public discourse about topics of urban planning. This will be a central issue in a growing city like Hamburg for the next years, and it's best handled when the knowledge and the opinions of the citizens are included in the process right from the start and in a consistent, informal manner that does not rival but support the established mechanisms of urban planning. Last but not least, the Financial Authority just announced that it will develop an open data portal for Hamburg over the course of 2012. Ladies and gentlemen, transparency of public data is a heated topic in the city. We have a public discussion concerning a transparency law that would change the way government and public service would work profoundly. That is why I'd like to share some thought about this initiative with you. The call for transparency and participation has become almost common sense over the last couple of years, not only in Hamburg or Germany, but on a much broader scale. And it is true, the internet and the new social media applications today offer us an impressive variety of ways to present information and to get in touch with citizens. We have to learn to use them. We have to learn to do something with some 630,000 followers of Hamburg on Facebook. We have to learn to implement online forums, discussions and consultations into the toolbox of good governance. And we are progressing. Maybe not as fast as some might wish, but certainly not as slow as some others might hope. Progress is necessary because it will improve our democracy. But let me ask you a question. Is it true that transparency leads to trust, like our local transparency initiative proclaims? Is that the right and primary logical connection? I have some doubts, not in the outcome, but on a very principal level, and I would like to take the chance to elaborate them to you. Modern societies are based on the willingness of their citizens to participate, no doubt about that, and they need to be principally open to all kinds of participation, not just a single vote every 4 or 5 years. As a mature democracy, Germany has developed many forms of participation, a lot of them over the last couple of years due to the new possibilities via the internet. But while participation is the necessary fuel for every democracy, it does not need to be exercised every day by everybody. For a defined period of time, we delegate power to professional decision makers who represent us and our interests. This representation is part of a democracy in modern societies as well. There are liberal political thinkers who even argue that a general and growing wish for more participation in the political process is a sign of an emergent political crisis. Not the participation itself, but the call for more. And their argument sounds plausible. People who tend to become unhappy about the way they are governed also tend to claim their right to self-governance. This is a wise reaction. But on an individual level, you still need time and resources to raise your voice publicly. While theoretically everybody is able and invited to participate, on a practical level, only few find the time and the space and the money to actually exercise their rights more than on the usual ways of elections. That is why we need to establish transparent ways of government. That is why we need to lower the bars of participation. And this is also why modern societies do not only need participation, but also trust in order to maintain a certain necessary inner coherence. They are too complex to be understood fully by every citizen to their full extent. They need functional elites and specialists with delegated powers and controlling mechanisms like regular elections and a lively public sphere. Even within the parliamentary fraction, there are specialists for certain topics. Their judgment is trusted by the other members when it comes to formulate the general will of the parliamentary group. In our societies and even our cities, the same process takes place on various levels and in myriad different specifications. If we call for transparency, for the full access of all raw data incorporated in these processes, we articulate a lack of trust in those judging the data and applying it to different problems. In a nutshell, we want transparency because we are not willing, or we are not able, or we are not presented a chance to trust. That is the puzzle political administrations have to solve in the coming years. If we just reacted with the publication of all the data and all the process information we use and store in an administration of way more than 50,000 employees, we would produce only a formal transparency. This would lead into an openness that nobody could handle, and that would produce less transparency in the outcome, not more. Nobody would be able to work with the data or get a hold of its core contents. Take the example of WikiLeaks. Normal citizens had neither the time nor the capacity to sort through 22,000 pages of documents. We needed professional journalists to find the scandalous detail and the measurements to expose them. There is one thing that the publication would establish, and that is trust by publicizing the data, not by the data itself. The act of publishing the data, that will establish trust, because we say we present the data to you. But with the data itself, to its full extent, very difficult to work for everybody. In the general light of transparency initiatives, this means new trust agents will have to be established, or, from a government perspective, nothing surprising, even better, old ones will have to be restored. For me, this is an argument in favor of smart new e-participation technologies, because they can help establish and achieving this goal. There needs to be someone whose judgment you can trust. Politicians and public servants alike should continue to claim just that position. We should publish information as extensive as possible, but we should comment and explain it in a way that can be handled by the general public. We should embrace new forms and mechanisms of e-participation and use them to intensify the dialogue and to provide orientation in troubled times. We should engage in the public discourse and incorporate the everyday rationality of normal citizens in a much deeper and more structural way than we do now. In this setting, transparency is legitimate and necessary controlling mechanism. It bears the potential to enhance the rationality and the argumentative level of governing and politics, because it provides necessary information confounding the right questions to ask. Projects like the Stadtwerkstatt aim at just that. But we have to take care not to fall for the illusion that online tools alone will do all political judgment and communication for us. Finding the right topic, the right partners, the right platform, and the right culture of discussion will remain political and administrative core competences. E-participation is no alternative. It is a necessary addition to achieve just all that. It is a fascinating new chance to make governance smarter. Dear ladies and gentlemen, I hope you have a great time here in Hamburg and that you will find the chance to experience its beauty and its liveliness. Even though you only have 20 minutes lunch break, I hope you have some time after the conference. Hamburg is not only a fascinating media metropolis, but also the German birthplace of the idea that a handshake in business should be all you need to trust your partner. So for centuries, building trust is something we have known a lot about. In your sessions, I hope you will come up with new ideas how to foster collaboration and participation for the better of our society and our democracy. Let's open chances for participation in order to rebuild social trust. It is a great opportunity to make stuff happen, as Nick Booth puts it. Thank you very much.